All right. Thank you all for sticking around tonight. Really excited to share with you our presentation, Your Website's Docent, Solving the Rich Content Knowledge Transfer Problem. Uh, Broadcasting to you from my COVID office in my laundry room, but really happy to be part of this community and part of this class, so thank you very much. Every website owner has a goal to provide value to their website visitors. Sometimes it's entertainment, as we just heard. Sometimes it is to sell something to you. But many times they want to transfer knowledge. They want to teach you something. They want you to learn from them. They've got things that they think are important, right? Website visitors, equally on the other side, have a desire to get value from your website as well. And sometimes it's entertainment, and sometimes they want to buy something, and sometimes they are looking for answers. And to bring those two goals together, uh, findability is the key. And in order for table stakes for any website to get those two goals to match, you need good design and you need navigation. Absolutely essential, right? We know from experience that most people will not spend more than 3, 4, 5 clicks before they start getting some value out of your site before they ditch, right? If they're not starting to see and find something to meet their needs, they're out of there after 4 or 5 clicks, right? Now, there's a problem, right? There are a lot of websites out there that we call rich content websites that are loaded and loaded with lots of content that goes very, very deep. And design and navigation is just not going to be enough. It's like walking into a library and you got to find the answer to a question you've got, but you have no card catalog, no search engine. Um, where are you going to go? What books are you going to find, right? You might be able to figure out the Dewey Decimal System and wander over to a particular section of the stacks, but even still, how are you going to spend the time to figure out and find your answer? Um, we've kind of grown impatient with technology over the years recently, and so if we don't get it in 4 or 5 clicks, we're out of there, right? Your website needs a docent, and museums of all kinds around the world have figured out that in order to bridge the gap between their visitors and the immense richness of the information that they provide, there needs to be a guide. There needs to be somebody who can help the visitors who don't know the language, don't know the terminology, sometimes barely even know what it is they're trying to ask their question about. Um, these people who know the information, who know the details of what is in the museum, these people can be that bridge, right? The thing is, though, a docent, whether it's on a website or whether it's in a museum, there needs to be some constraints, right? It would be a bit counterproductive for a website owner if the docent decided to make up answers that don't agree with the content on the website. There's also some reputational concerns, right? If a malicious visitor took advantage of the docent and so manipulated it to answer in offensive ways, that would be a bit of a problem. Um, Equally, the owners of the website need to just direct that docent to only work with the content on the site. They need to capture the interactions of that docent so that they can grow in their trust of the docent's capabilities, as well as provide an audit trail in case the docent makes a mistake, right? So let's just do a little thought experiment, right? Consider a Christian church website. The leaders of the church have the conviction that religion is a knowledge domain that is filled with um, very important and significantly impacting knowledge that can affect the way that people live their lives. Right? Does God exist? What is God like? Does he have any expectations on how humans live? Why are people so messed up and the world along with it? How is it going to get fixed? And the big one for all of us, right? What happens after we die anyway, right? These are big, important questions that loom large before us all, and therefore this church has taken a lot of time to put on their website explanations of what they believe about these topics, making many references to Christian source of authority, which is a book called the Bible. And so since they also, I should say, they do a lot of teaching each week on what the Bible says, and they have audio recordings and transcripts available that go back many, many years. So for a visitor, this is a lot to take in. For the church leaders, they want to help people learn about these topics, but it's simply the nature that the big questions of life need a lot of words to explain. And while personal conversations are the best way to help someone learn, it's just not realistic to staff a live chat agent 24/7. So therefore, imagine that a chat window in the lower corner of the pages of the website that can prompt a visitor with a friendly greeting, providing a bit of a disclaimer that it is the docent of the site and it can serve as a guide to the answers of their questions, but the leaders of the church are very willing to talk about the details. So, what can I help you find today? What questions do you have? And from here, we're going to say they could put in free text questions, and the docent system will perform a search of the site using the advanced large language model AI technology that we have grown to learn and love. And it'll return a summary of the answer to the visitor along with links to the pages that it used to craft its answer. In the meantime, it's collecting the question and the pieces of the site that it used for its answer and its final response to the visitor, which can be saved for later analysis by the church leaders to ensure that the answers remain in agreement with the stated beliefs and reasonings on the website. It can also give them insight into the types of things people are looking for. And when they come to the site, they can facilitate the leaders guiding some new additional content onto the site. So I'm going to hand it over to Laura now to show us what has been built in order to do this.
Yeah.
And take it away, Laura.
All right. So if you could leave your screen on, as I understand. So just a quick recap. Would you like me to do the code demo before we go into architecture?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Sounds good. Okay. So I would like you to stop the share, please. All righty. So we worked on a very similar prototype as what most of you have seen. So we have our classic chatbot interface. And essentially what we want the user to be able to have is, when they post a question, not only should it receive a response that is relevant, but also some context on where it was retrieved from. So because we would eventually like to embed this to be part of a website, the solution that we would be exploring is in the form of an API. Now, what I'm going to be focusing on for my demo is sort of how we went from this, a list of URLs. So as you can see here, I have a number of different URLs that the LLM is fetching the information from, and then how we connected those through Haystack. So for this project, I did focus on a bit of a different framework. So what I've done in this is I've initialized, I'm working with a face document store. And one of the things that I explored was the use of a scraper. So for a very basic MVP, what we have provided is a list of websites that contain information about the site that we would like to scrape. And the application or the pipeline should take us input this list of websites, and it should then generate or populate a vector database. We started from in memory, but then our goal would be to move into something more like Weaviate or Pinecone, where we can update the information as we need. The script will download the data, we'll go and fetch the information from each of these scripts. It'll generate a document store. It'll apply an embedding method, and then connect it to an LLM. So the first piece, we're using the link content fetcher to take us input that URL and then add it to the document store. And then from here, we've initialized a retrieval augmented generation pipeline with an instruction. It will be using the documents as context. And then the goal is to form a pipeline. So for this, I wanted to take more of a rudimentary approach. I didn't want to involve agents. I wanted to see, can I solve this question through a classic pipeline approach? And so for our main program, I initialize my document store, I initialize my retriever, I initialize my scraper, and then I connect the pipeline to my chatbot application. So the chatbot itself still needs some work and some improvement. One of the downsides of it is that it's quite slow in terms of responding. So what I'll demo is the pipeline application itself. So when I go ahead and execute this, it'll ensure that it can read the appropriate credentials, and then it's going to go ahead and create, course it did. Of course it did. Let's see. I am in the wrong. There we go. All right. So what it's going to go ahead and do, it's going to go ahead and load. Of course you did. Okay. Let me go back to this window. So this one is already executed. So what it'll do is it'll go and fetch each of the URLs. So in this case, I have 11 different URLs. And then what it's going to do is for each of those URLs, it's going to go ahead and extract the content and is going to go ahead and write the documents onto a document store. From there, it'll update the embeddings and it'll apply the embedding method to each of the documents on my document store. And then from here, I can go ahead and open up my application. So in this case, one of the things that I quite liked about this is the meta information is already part of the response, which means I didn't have to build in extra machinery to get or to obtain where it's getting the context from, but rather was able to fetch it directly from the pipeline response directly. Some of the things that we tested is, is it capable of letting us know when it can't find a response? And so, for instance, if when I asked, okay, so how many churches are there in Canada, there is no information relevant to this specific question. So it's able to tell me, you know what, there is no data related to that specific question. So those are two of the things that we explored. One was automating this idea of fetching information directly from a website, and then from there, populating a document store. And then from here, some of the things that I think still need quite a bit of improvement. One is implementing some experimentation. So evaluating different retriever models, evaluating different LLMs. I tested yesterday on both GPT-4 from OpenAI and Mistral quite easily. But as you know, Hugging Face is down today, so I wasn't able to show you a demo with Hugging Face. So we stuck to GPT-4. All right, so this is it for me. And I think we only have 20 seconds left because we didn't really have time to go into the architecture piece.
Well, we'll try to cover it real quick. I utilize a diagramming method called the C4 model. You can find it on c4model.com. So our system, the way that we envision it operating, can be broken up into a couple different component parts. We want the scraping engine to be something that operates independently of the API for the widget, the bot that'll be on the website. So we also want to have an independent system logging and metrics area as well. As we dig into those two components, the scraping container will have a scheduler so that we can control when we go and refresh the website, perform the vectorization, and store it over outside in our Pinecone service. Similarly on the API, we've got the method endpoints for the APIs will interact with the semantic search first, and then generate the answer with the LLM, and again, providing logging and metrics. Talked a little bit about, productionalizing it a little bit, performance improvements, modularizing the code, breaking it up into those component parts, deploying it out to AWS cloud infrastructure, working with weights and biases, Pinecone, and then very importantly, getting that logging going so that we can have some assurance that the site is operating properly. So thank you very much.